Dear friends, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the conference. I hope you had good coffee or exercise or a breeze of fresh air, whatever is it that you prefer to make this rather moderately light November day refreshing for you. We're back and we'll soon embark on our second panel discussion with more very interesting keynote speakers coming up, and of course a debate which you're all welcome to give your input. When we started this day with practitioners, now we're going back to the between the safe and secure and inspiring walls of the universities. But I will not be your guide through the second panel, but will gladly give the floor over to Sille-Kadri from the Estonian Youth Council. Go ahead, you have the floor.
Yes, thank you, Johannes. That was a lovely introduction. Hello, everyone who are here at Tallinn Lauluväljak or who are virtually joining us from home or office. My name is Sille-Kadri and I'm more excited to host this next panel discussion. Today we have 3 speakers. 2 of them will join us virtually from Czech Republic, and one of them is from Tallinn University. He's on spot here. And I'm more excited to talk about this next topic, and the topic is universities as an example of communication between people of different nationalities. And our first speaker is Sasha Hlosek. She's an assistant director of international program at Charles University. And she will talk about how to effectively communicate with a diverse audience, which is a really interesting topic. Sasha, the stage is yours.
Thank you very much. And hello, Estonia. Thank you for the introduction. While I wish that we could be there in person, of course, I'm very thankful to be participating in this conference, and I hope that you find this presentation interesting. So as it was mentioned, I'm going to be speaking about effectively communicating with a diverse audience in international higher education. I'd first like to highlight a few reasons why international students come to study in Prague. First of all, it's a relatively inexpensive city for being a European capital. From the cost of living to also the cost of going out and enjoying culture is quite affordable for students. It's a nice blend between Eastern and Western Europe. We're actually considered Central Europe. Prague is home to many, many cultural and social events, everything from opera and theater to live music. So it's a great place for students to be. As I mentioned, we are located in the center of Europe, which means that it's very easy for students to travel to the many other countries that they'd like to see while they're studying abroad. And I'd just like to highlight a difference between Erasmus and ECES, which is our program, which I'll be speaking about a bit more. But Erasmus, we also have at Charles University, and that's the students from within the EU and around Europe who come to study with us. That's a non-paid program, whereas ECES, our program, is a commercial paid program, mostly for American and Canadian. We also have some Asian students in the summer, and it's a commercial program within Charles University. For those of you who aren't familiar with Charles University, we are the oldest and most prestigious university in Central Europe, founded in 1348 by King Charles IV. We are a public university with about 50,000 students, around 1,000 international students. We are based at the Faculty of Arts, which is liberal arts, not fine arts or visual arts. And we are one of the 4 original faculties at Charles University, along with law, medicine, and theology. And we're currently the largest faculty at the university. So our program is called East and Central European Studies, ECES for short. It was founded in 1992, and it's a completely English taught program at Charles University for non-degree seeking students, which means that they're pursuing their degree at a home university in the US or Canada. They won't be getting a bachelor's or graduate degree from Charles University. We offer courses in the humanities primarily, such as history, literature, politics, Czech language, sociology, as well as some film and photography courses. We run semester, which means fall and spring, and also summer and customized sessions. There's 2 summer sessions students can come for between 3 and 7 weeks. And we also have customized sessions, which are usually led by faculty from a university in the US or Canada, and they come for anywhere from 2 to 6 weeks. And our whole program is facilitated by the International Relations Office at the Faculty of Arts, Charles University. So I'd just like to highlight some of the student services that we offer during the program. This also highlights how much we are in touch with our students, that we're communicating with them all the time. Whereas a program like Erasmus, they're communicating a lot in the beginning, but once they get on site, they're a little bit more offhand. So we offer 24-hour emergency support, which means that we have an emergency mobile phone that rotates throughout our team. Everyone has it for about a week, and students can reach us at any time of the day, whether they have a medical emergency or maybe they're traveling and they lost their passport, so they are not sure what to do. They can contact us for support. So we're constantly communicating with our students. We also offer pre-departure orientation while they're still home in the US. That includes visa advising when necessary. When they come in the summer, that's not part of it, but we walk them through the actual process of the student visa application. We have on-site orientation, which is 1 week during summer and January term, and 3 weeks during the semester. That includes 2 weeks of Czech intensive language that they take. We offer on-site housing assistance. We have a housing and cultural coordinator who lives with our students at the dorm where they all live together. She's communicating with them every day when they see each other at breakfast. And we also offer medical assistance in addition to the emergencies. If a student needs help communicating with a doctor or just making an appointment, we can assist them with that. Some of the extracurricular activities that we offer are 2 day trips during orientation so that we really show the students something about the Czech Republic and its history, give them a taste of what they can see while they're studying abroad. We offer optional trips and activities throughout the semester. This includes things like cafe and gallery excursions, which are led by our cultural and housing coordinator. She takes them to an exhibit or a museum and they go and discuss it afterwards, what they've seen and how they interpret it. The Charles University International Club is quite active. They offer trips, events, and even a Czech buddy program to our students, which is quite popular. We offer film screenings of important culturally relevant Czech films, and also lectures with guest speakers throughout the semester. So to go over our communication audiences, we are constantly communicating with a number of different parties throughout the entire semester and in between semesters. These include our partner universities. These are a handful of US and Canadian universities with whom we work very closely. They send us students every semester or session. Third-party providers, which these are the more commercialized study abroad operations that they get students from all different universities and then funnel them into our program. So they're quite important to us. Our students, of course, that come from a variety of different backgrounds. We have about 30 professors that we work with. They are both Czech and international. Then we also have an academic board, which is a separate set of professors at Charles University who review and approve all of our courses prior to the semester or the academic year, excuse me. And then we have our service provider partners, which of course we're organizing trips and events during orientation and also farewell parties and other optional activities throughout the semester. So we're always communicating with people, whether it be in Prague or outside within Europe as well. To give you an idea of our communication timeline, our communication with students and partners begins months before they arrive in Prague. As I mentioned, we have quite intensive and thorough pre-departure advising. We create a webinar, which we share with them. We're always available for one-on-one questions. We literally walk them step by step through the forms they need to fill out for the visa application process. And at that time, our communication is really proactive and reactive. We're of course sharing important deadlines and asking them for materials we need, but also they have many, many questions and we're getting them excited about being in Prague. So it's a mix of proactive and reactive communication. Then once they come on site, it shifts to a slightly more reactive, as of course we are sharing information with them still, but we're also fielding their questions and any issues that they have while they're with us. And then post-semester, we like to continue the communication as well. We have a very good internship program with our student alumni. We've already had several students participate with us. And also a lot of them follow us on Instagram. We've really ramped that up over the past year or so. And we hope that they continue once they leave us and they're back in the US so they can see what's happening with the program and also continue to learn about Czech history and culture. So some of the differences to consider when you're communicating with such diverse audiences and groups of people are communication style. We have to remember that everyone's culture and experiences and background is the lens through which they see the world. So you have to keep this in mind when you're dealing with different backgrounds and trying to understand where they're coming from. This also applies to a nonverbal communication. For example, in some cultures, raised voices can signify excitement about something, whereas in another culture or country, that may be a sign of aggression. So you really have to kind of keep all these things in mind. Another thing to consider is attitudes towards conflict. That really depends whether someone is willing to get their issues out in the open, say, let's talk about it, deal with it now, or whether they prefer to do so much more quietly, maybe even in writing. That varies across culture and country. Another thing is approaches to completing tasks, which this has to do with access to resources and rewards that are associated with task completion. For example, if there's a group project, some cultures and countries would much rather develop the relationships within the group and then start to work on the project, whereas other cultures will want to get right to work at the task at hand and then develop the relationships within the group along the way. There are also different decision-making styles. For example, in the US, many times decisions are delegated, whereas in other European and Latin American countries, there's a very strong value placed on making decisions oneself. There's also a difference between deciding something by majority rule or coming to a consensus. And lastly, we have to consider attitudes towards disclosure and privacy, which of course with the student body is very important as well. Also that they're coming from America that has different privacy rules compared to the European ones. And we all know, I think, that some cultures, people are very open about their emotions, their feelings, even their personal information, whereas in other cultures that's kept closer to the chest and it's not shared as much. So it's just important to not approach a group with one communication style in mind. You have to take them all into consideration. And I'd just like to speak a little bit about diversity and inclusion. More and more we realize and know that without inclusion, diversity can sometimes backfire. That's why I like this quote here that diversity is being invited to the party and inclusion is being asked to dance. Because it doesn't really matter if you have a very diverse group, if they're not being included, they will maybe segregate to their own little corners, and then that's not really being effective. So we have to have everyone being involved, invited to participate. That's the only way to have effective diversity. And of course, in our program, we have students of various ethnic, racial, religious, and socioeconomic backgrounds. So to us, the inclusion part is very important to the diversity. So just to speak a little bit about diversity within our program, we are of course committed to supporting students who are ethnically and racially diverse, first-generation college attendees, high financial need, LGBTQ, religiously diverse, or those who have a disability, whether it's a learning disability or a physical disability. We know that inclusion and equity leads to student success and confidence, and therefore alumni success. Of course, our goal with this program is that the students not only use it for their personal growth, but also hopefully for their professional development and their professional growth later on in their career. And during our pre-departure orientation and orientation week, we do emphasize health and safety for a diverse group of students to make sure they all feel welcome and safe. And with the diversity, as I mentioned, comes inclusion. So here are just a few examples of the ways that we are trying to work on inclusion within the program. When we have religious diversity, we discuss things such as having, especially with Prague's history, it's important to us to have courses such as Jewish history. And all of our professors really work to include different perspectives from varying backgrounds into the material of their courses. We also are able to offer some accommodations for students at the dorm where they all stay together. For example, if someone needed a quiet space for prayer, or if they wanted to keep kosher, we could keep those students in a suite together. They could have access to the same kitchen facilities so that they're able to observe those parts of their religion. Socioeconomic diversity. Of course, we have students from huge US universities that are public, small private universities. They really come from all over the country, from many different backgrounds. So some have the budget to bounce around to European capitals every weekend, which we rather they stay, of course, in the Czech Republic, but we understand. So it's very important as a program to offer free and low cost activities that are really accessible to everyone, so that even those who don't have that kind of budget are able to participate and enjoy the study abroad experience and the Czech Republic. Racial diversity, we always make sure in orientation and before the students even come to communicate to them that they have a safe space with us in our offices or even via email for discussion about any issues they may encounter while they're abroad, anything they want to talk about. We make sure that they know we are a resource for them. We're also working on more inclusive promotional materials. We had an African-American student as our intern, and we did some really nice photo shoots with her to use in social media and hopefully in our future marketing materials, because it's very important for minority students to see someone who looks like them. So they say, oh, I could be a study abroad student as well. And lastly, first generation students. Those, of course, are the ones who are the first in their family to attend university or college. We do find that we need to communicate with them even more and provide more detailed information during orientation. We do have a group of specific first generation students we work with in the summer sessions, and we find that they need to be a bit more informed about things like possible tourist traps or scams that they may encounter, just because they may not be as travel savvy. And also, if they were to incur a financial loss because of some scam or issue they dealt with, it could be more detrimental to them than someone who has more financial resources. So some of the key takeaways from what I've presented to you are to know the diversity of the audiences with which you're communicating. That's number one communications rule. Don't just blanket message things. You have to consider the things we mentioned, people's backgrounds, cultures, the way they interpret different phrases and nonverbal communication. That's why tailored messaging is the most effective, because then people feel that you're really speaking to them, you're taking into consideration their specific situation and background. And especially as we've learned during this COVID pandemic, clear and transparent communication is really key. We know that all of our partners and students and professors truly appreciated the direct and transparent communication that we provided, and that really makes things go more smoothly. So with that, I would like to thank you very much for your attention. I believe we're doing questions at the end, but I'm happy to answer anything that anyone would like to know. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Sasha, for this lovely presentation. And Sasha will join us with the panel discussion. And if you have any questions for her or this topic, you can join slido.com using hashtag INT20. That's slido.com using hashtag INT20. And you can ask all your questions for all the speakers. Our next speaker is also joining us from virtually, and her name is Martina Provoshkova. And she's also from Charles University. She works there as an operations manager. And Martina will talk about how to manage communication during a crisis, which is very interesting. So Martina, you have the stage.
So hello, everybody. Greetings from Prague. It's an honor for me to represent Charles University at the conference here in Tallinn. And my colleague Sasha described our program, and I would like to talk about our experience during first coronavirus wave in Czech Republic, precisely during the first spring semester of Eastern Central European Studies, when Czech Republic locked down and all our American students left the country 1 month. Actually, it was 1 month after the beginning of the semester. And our on-site program had to switch to online version. So first, I would like to start my introduction in numbers. Like that, you can imagine under which conditions we were supposed to work when Czech government decided to lock down the country. Then I'll present you our team and the roles we needed to adapt, also our ways of the communication. And in the end, I'll sum up everything we did for the program. Sorry. So we had 100 students on site in Prague. We were leading 30 courses. Sorry. Yeah. Can you, oh, sorry, you cannot see my full screen. Sorry. So I will restart to share again. Sorry. Sorry for the technical issues. Now it should be okay. I can see that. So we were reading 30 courses. We had 25 teachers who were teaching for us. We were only 5 team members in our team, and we had only 3 days to switch everything to online version. And of course, between us and our students who left to US was 6,500 kilometers, and 6 hours was the shortest time interval between Central European time zone and US time zones. And all that was against one virus. The most essential communication was between us in our team, as you can see our team on the picture. From the first moment during the first 3 days, despite our roles in the team, we divided the work to make the online version of our program quickly. 3 were creating all the online rules and tools. 2 of us were all the time giving support to our students, teachers, and partners, because the situation wasn't completely clear from the government, and also students were a bit scared of what will be happening when they will be flying back home. And our assistant was helping at the dorms to students who needed leave immediately. So also the support from Charles University was very nice, because they completely trusted us in our choice of equipment and spending money, because we needed to buy new webcams, and we needed to deal with the browsers and especially with the tools, like the choice which tool we will be using. So finally we decided to use Zoom. So I would like to underline that the trust is also a big part of the common success. But to be successful, to be able to communicate with all the kinds of people, you need to add 3 more things. So it's to stay calm, to use your logic, and to be organized in your decisions and choices. So as I said at the beginning of my presentation, we had only 3 days to switch our program to online version. We divided properly not only our tasks, which must have been done to teach online, but also we decided who and how will communicate with 3 groups of our interests. It means students, teachers, and partners. All of us were supposed to communicate with students because we had 100 of them in Prague. Because normally we have only 2 people, but in this situation, it wouldn't be possible to cover everything only by 2 people. So our roles were mostly calming, responding on all questions that students had without any judging. And we were trying to explain everything clearly, again and again, even if the questions were repeating. Then the communication with teachers was different, much more pragmatic in terms of how to teach online, how to use Zoom, I mean, all the technical knowledge about this new application. And then what kind of rules our teachers should apply to grade students, to work with students through online environment. And that was quite challenging, but I have to say that our teachers were amazing in the end. And the third communication line was with our partners. They needed to know if we follow all the health and safety rules, and that we know when the students left the country, when they are coming back to US, or who from our students decided to stay in Prague. Of course, technical support and PR communication was a natural thing for us, so I wouldn't be describing it in details. So it was very, very, very challenging for all the team to make the transition online after 3 years when the program was working completely offline. But our stronger program structure helped us to develop strong online structure. As a streaming tool, we use Zoom, as I said. We adapted the schedule, our Prague schedule, to US time zone, because only thanks to this move, we could successfully provide the service as we were providing to our students here. And of course, again, we were every time clearly describing all the changes and all the things that we needed from our students. It means how to connect to Zoom meetings, where they can see recorded versions of the classes, what they can see on our program website, or which information they should find immediately, and if they have any issues, of course, they can email us. And as Sasha mentioned, we had also our emergencies phone, so they could call us non-stop 24/7 on our emergency phone. Another part of our online program success was to maintain, at least virtually, in minds of our students, the feeling that they stayed in Prague. Because they were so sad leaving, they were crying because Prague is a very, very student-friendly city, sorry. So we continued sending our weekly newsletter with tips, what to see or what to try from Czech culture online or in their homes. Of course, we strengthened our activity on Instagram because Instagram is our most effective social network. So if you want to try to find us on Instagram, just tap ECES Prague and you should see our program and all the things in our highlights that we shared, or all other types of communication that we are using through Instagram. So, but not to be only positive. Of course, we needed to deal also with some problems. I just would like to say that it's necessary to talk about things that didn't work. As for example, our emails instructions at the beginning were too long. To some students were too much complicated. So we also learned, thanks to their feedback, how to organize the emails, how spread all the informations needed to everybody. Then, of course, students did so many mistakes because of the bad time zone conversions. Even if most of our students are living on the east coast of US, we had some students also from the central part of United States, and there the time differs. It's not only 6 hours time change, but for example 7, and from students from California 8, but we had no student from California. And also the most common problem was that the internet connection wasn't stable for everybody. Of course, we couldn't verify that, but at the beginning, maybe as whole world switched suddenly to online, the situation the situation and the connection wasn't stable for everybody. And also sometimes our program website was affected by outage or had some loading problems, because suddenly immediately 130 people were working with this website, so it was also challenging for us to repair everything. Finally, students' feedback was mostly positive. They appreciated our non-stop support. There were minor misunderstandings about finals and midterms between students and teachers, because, as I said, teaching through online environment was completely new for everybody, for students and for teachers. So at the beginning, they just didn't know for example, how to grade them for the participation, because some students, as I said, they had problem with the connection, so they couldn't attend online all the time. But everything was quickly solved. Every time we just discuss it and try to find solutions immediately. And one common reproach was that, and it was from a part of our students, that ECES program was too fast in switching, that program should not have been so active, and left 1 week free to students to rest and recover after the journey home and after the first shock of coronavirus. But to conclude, and as my beloved colleague Sasha says every time, that teamwork makes the dream work, I have to say that without the cooperation of our students, our teachers, our team, and whole university support, we would never communicate our online transition with that success. Because all the time we tried to communicate clearly. We learned from our mistakes at the beginning, so suddenly 1 month after, we were just I don't want to say perfect, but we were very effective in our communication, and students just get used to our communication through emails and website. And we also try to communicate without extreme emotions, as Sasha said. This is very, very important, because every time we first listen to our students, and then we try to find the solutions, and not like judging or saying like, okay, your internet connection doesn't work, or you just fell asleep and you missed your class. No, every time we just listen what they need, where the problems were, and every time we just deal with it calmly. So that 3 qualities help to our students finish their semester properly, and that was our biggest goal, that every student that we had at the beginning of spring semester in Prague, our goal was that even or despite of this transition to online, they will finish their semester with all credits and all the support from our side. So that's all for me. From me, thank you for your attention, and I'm looking forward to your questions in the end.
Yes, thank you, Martina, for sharing your experience, and it was a very interesting presentation again. And just a reminder, if you have any questions, you can use slida.com while if you're in office or you're here. It's all anonymous, so you can freely ask your questions for the speakers, or just comment this topic or share your experience. We have 1 speaker left. Next speaker is Rein Olesk, who is here with us at Tallinna Lauluväljak. And he works as an internal communication specialist in Tallinn University. And his topic is about how the challenges of communication in this new era. So I welcome to the stage Rein Olesk.
Tere, minu nimi on Rein Olesk ja mina...
My name is Rein Olesk and I work in the University of Tallinn as an internal communication specialist. So I'll tell you a little bit about these challenges brought to the communication specialist by a crisis and how our foreign students in Estonia are doing today. So the University of Tallinn, then for the employees, the most important information channel is on Mondays. We publish the information letter, and then on Tuesdays it's in English. And this Monday, before I was able to send out the weekly information newsletter, I got an email from a colleague who got an email from somebody else that they had heard that as of tomorrow, the university is going to shut down. So, which is not true, because I had just come from the Prevention and Crisis Committee meeting of the university, and we had discussed what is the position of the university when it comes to using masks. And also, as of Tuesday, we are waiting for the government press conference to find out what are the messages from the government for the COVID crisis at the moment. So during this week, I got a few other letters and phone calls like that. Is the university going to go under lockdown now? And I think this characterizes the situation very well. What happens during the crisis in an organization where you have over 7,000 students and 1,000 employees? If we do not provide this information ourselves during this period of time, then rumors start flying around. And because of this crisis, I have sort of seen my role that, amongst other things, it is my task that if there are any rumors, then it is my task to rebut them very quickly and to provide the correct information. Now, on March 12, where the emergency situation was declared, that was a Thursday. Then I was a brand new communication specialist. Then it got really difficult for me. And you can imagine that the task in front of me got really complicated. The crisis committee back then and the university management got together to develop the concept how exactly we're going to work and study at the university. And we had this interest group who asked very detailed questions. What's going to happen now? Then there were so many questions. And this is how this entire concept until the last details was described. And our foreign students and foreign employees were the ones actually who kept really quiet. So once the emergency situation was declared on Thursday, March 12th, the 13th of March, which is Friday, we managed to write down the entire concept for the university, how are things going to be. And then we had a lot of information needed to process, so it'll be edible for the students and the employees. And by Friday evening, we managed to collect all this information, and I was able to forward it at the time when the working day was actually already over. So I sent this information out in Estonian. And that moment on Friday night, I understood that I do not really have the energy to translate it all into English. And that moment, we had that there's no resources to have it translated into English. So I adopted this decision that I will send this information to our foreign students on Monday, because then there's only Saturday and Sunday they have to wait. And 2 days is not that much of a long of a time. But during the time of crisis, my first and biggest lesson was that in the middle of a crisis, if people are really thirsty for information, then 2 days is an extremely long period. And then, of course, a lot of people were upset, and rightly so. Why was it like this? Because people, of course, talk to each other. And there's information came out that they got information in Estonian, but this information did not come out in English. So now moving forward, then there was summer, and then we started with our autumn semester. And we started to work already from the autumn that every Mondays and Tuesdays we sent the weekly newsletter. First of all, the banner said, what is the situation in the university in relation to the coronavirus crisis? And also if you have anybody who has been infected among the student body or the professors, how many of them? Have we mapped the people who have been in close contact with the infected person, and is the situation under control? And these figures, at first, we did not share with the students, which was the second big mistake. because I learned very quickly that if I'm not going to talk about the numbers myself, then somebody else will do it for us. So this is what actually happened, that as a new year, academic year has started, we had a lot of first-year students. Then first-year students usually have tutors from second year or third year. And then what happens was that in one institute, then the second or third years were not willing to be tutors because there was an understanding that this one specific institute is a source of the virus, which is not true. But if we do not talk about the figures ourselves, then rumors started to fly, which was not true. So again, this was something we had to face. So we learned from these mistakes as a university. And we forward this weekly newsletter in Estonian where we inform the employees of the COVID status, how many infected people we have, how we mapped the close contacts, is the situation under control. If they have any messages you want to stress, then we do that. And the same is a weekly newsletter which comes out in English every Tuesday. And this innovation we thought about due to these figures is that every Tuesday we started to forward to all our students in Estonian and in English specific notification of COVID status. So it says exactly how many infected people we have, if the situation is under control. So we have mapped the close contacts. We try to sort of calm people down. So if nobody has contacted you, therefore you have not been in close contact with somebody who has been infected, so you do not really have to worry. And we also understood that if we have information sessions at universities, and if we have a dialogue in communication, then during the information sessions we also provide simultaneous interpretation into English, so all our members can participate, and also if they do not speak Estonian. So now moving on to the international students, I had a focus group interview with our foreign students, where we had 8 students, 4 of bachelor and 4 master's degree students. And I was looking into how they're doing and what are the main issues regarding this crisis and being in Estonia. It was good to hear that the students mentioned that actually this, when it comes to corona crisis period, then it's actually quite safe to be in Estonia already, because Estonia is a country where the population density is not that great. And therefore, even if you're in the capital city, you can keep quite good distance from everybody else, so it's not a problem. And they also mentioned that what is nice is that Estonians tend to have a lot of common sense, and we tend to be fairly calm. There's not much of a panic, but at the same time, that is a bit of a worry. Because at the same time, there is no panic, but the foreign students think that we're not taking it so seriously. Wearing masks, then during the summer in foreign countries, everybody was wearing masks in public transportation. But Estonia today, where we have quite high infection rate already, we still need to remind people they have to wear masks. So people are not really accepting it. So if during the summer they went to a shopping center wearing a mask, then they felt that the Estonians are sort of looking at them a bit funny, like, why are you wearing a mask? And what is the biggest problem for foreign students right now, the ones I talk to, is that the financial situation is not very secure. Half the students I talk to, they lost their jobs during the crisis. And a lot of them are still actively looking for a job, but they haven't found it. But since they're foreign students, then they are studying on English language programs, and English language programs are for a fee, so they have to pay a tuition, but they have to also survive. But if there's no income, then it gets a bit complicated. So we talked about their financial situation a bit longer, and they explained that the first reason why it is difficult for them to find a job is that they don't understand Estonian. And in Estonia, it is very important to know Estonian, because then you have much better likelihood to find a job. But at the same time, students said that if you look at the Estonian media, then it seems to them that the positions of our government are not supporting foreign students very much. So it could be that our companies are very careful when they're hiring foreign students because it's not a very good attitude which prevails. So the third country students were able to apply for study support or grant based on need. Then this is started to disappear in Estonia as well because there is not much of an interest to pay the support to the third country students. It's not much of a support, but this is a little amount which helps. I asked the students, how did the university cope with distance learning or e-learning? And the students mentioned that University of Tallinn coped quite well. And they said that the digital capability of the professors is very good, or the lecturers, and transition was very quick, and there were no major complications. But everybody had one lecturer who had trouble with the microphone, who just disappeared from the picture, or you could not contact them very well. But the students were very understanding, and they said that yes, the situation, which is new to all of us, was new to the lecturers as well. It was very hard for them, so they tried to understand this situation. So they proposed that it would be good if the lecturers would have a support person who could provide them help how to manage with e-learning. So to provide this constructive criticism and would praise if things are going well. So it could be that the professors or the lecturers felt that they were left alone during this crisis. So this support person aspect is written down on the slide as well. So what is difficult right now is that because all the learning is through e-channels, but the subjects where it is hard to do the virtual learning, and then we have contact learning as well. But there is half an hour between two lessons, and if the students are in contact learning and the second lecture is online, then there's half an hour, and they often cannot get back home during that time period. So therefore, they are listening to the online lectures while in university, which is opposite to the aim. And so the lecture system is a very big system, and you cannot really start changing one part of the schedule, because then the system will just get messed up, and there are overlaps because we have some joint programs with other universities as well. So this is a bit of a problem for us. We have not really able to handle it fully. And then I asked how satisfied they were with the crisis communication, which is most important for me. And I was happy to hear that although I listed all the problems we had, and I was very critical myself, I thought it was horrible, then what they actually said that the university coped actually quite well, because all the important information which needed to reach them, and also they had a lot of people they could ask help from if is there something they did not know. So it wasn't perfect, but it's good enough, and they understood the crisis was a difficult period. And it was complicated to come up with a systemic approach. So what they mentioned is that all the letters are a bit long. And it was hard for me because, as I mentioned before, that from this autumn we started to forward the students the letters about coronavirus every Tuesday. So we let them know how many people have been affected and if the situation is under control. Now, when I'm writing these letters, I always thought that I don't want this to be just a statistical information you just throw at people. I wanted to have a better approach. And even if I was very busy, I took time to make it a sort of nice letter, the few jokes, and said we had a nice weekend, a nice weather. It's Estonia. This nice weather might not come back for a while. And turned out this approach wasn't very good. So it's actually perfectly fine if we just give them statistical information about the situation. That's all they want to know. So because there is a lot of information that is coming in anyway. And last slide. Nice surprise for me was that who are their communication heroes during this crisis is our student counselors and program coordinators. So we've had some good examples as during the crisis the counselors or program coordinators had Zoom calls after every week. So just to check in with foreign students, how they're doing, what are the difficult subjects, how can you do things better. So I think this is really nice, and the students said that they were really grateful that people were there for them, and they got a lot of attention and they were listened to. So this is it from me. Thank you.
Thank you, Rein. You can sit here, please. Thank you. And we will continue with our panel discussion, and I invite back Sasha and Martina with us online as well. Nice to see you both. So I'm going to start with our first question that came from the audience, and it's directed to Charles University. And the question is your university just oriented to US students, or are you more international?
I'll take that.
Absolutely.
As I mentioned, we do have a very robust Erasmus program. So we do have a lot of European students, usually about 300 to 400 a semester. But our program, which is within the international office, is really geared towards US and Canadian. And as I mentioned, in the summer, we do have some Asian students. But definitely, there's a goal of being more international than just American.
Sure. I can imagine the time zones must be really difficult to manage if there's people from Asia and people from the United States and also from the European Union. And I was just thinking that maybe you want to elaborate a little bit on that. How did you do the classes, like depending on the different time zones?
Yes, actually, we during the spring we had only American students. So on one hand, it was easy to find the good times. But normally, our schedule starts at 9 a.m. in the morning, and so we counted approximately 6 hours. And now I'll be talking in European time zone. So in Prague, we started at 2 p.m. It means back to US, it was for them 8 a.m. or 7 a.m. It's early, but still manageable. And our courses lasted until 10 p.m. European time zone. It means for US students, it was the end of the courses were in the afternoon. So then they had all day for their stuff and their essays and their homeworks. And sorry, yeah, and you were asking about Asian students. We had this case during summer because our spring online semester was quite successful. We learned so many things, how to improve our services and our approach. And during the summer, we decided the same thing, to start our courses at 2 p.m. because for US students, it will be the same in the morning, and for Asian students, it will be around 8 p.m. in the evening. It's a bit late, but still manageable for young students who are most of the time studying during the evenings.
Fantastic. I'm actually also a student in Tallinn University, and I've been getting used to these new online classes and everything. I remember when I did my bachelor degree, it was all like there in Tallinn, like in the classrooms. And I was just thinking, now I'm so used to these online classes. Is this the new norm? Do I ever need to go back to school per se? Do I ever need to be back in the classroom? Or I can just do my degree fully online? What do you think, Rein?
Well, when I talk to the international... Okay. So when I was conducting the focus group interview with our international students, then all of them said that they miss the socializing part of the university that comes along. And they indeed miss the opportunity to go to the class and have like immediate contact with their course mates and the lecturers. So I think next to the part that you are just getting education from the university, the socializing part is very important to all students. So I would not prefer that the universities go fully online.
Sasha, do you want to comment?
Sure. Especially for us, because we work in study abroad, so we're welcoming the international students. it really, the experience cannot translate fully. You know, we did our best in the spring and summer, but it cannot translate fully to online. Students won't really choose to take classes, you know, from a university in Prague when it's just online, because it is so much about the experience. So I think the online courses will become a bigger part of universities now that they see how it can work and that some people do prefer it, but I don't think it will take the place, and certainly not in international education.
Martina, do you want to add something?
No, I completely agree with Sasha. Maybe it can be one of the solutions for socio-economic or students in socio-economic difficult situation when they cannot afford to travel to foreign country and pay for their program. Like that, they will just pay really a lower amount for the courses, and at least to try in international environment.
Absolutely. Now, one thing that I'm really worried about is that I am doing these online classes. Some of them are hybrid, some of them are fully online. I've also been there in the classroom with the teacher sometimes. And I'm just worried about how does this kind of like hybrid and also online courses, how does it affect the education quality? And I've been really like thinking about this lately, and maybe Rein, you want to elaborate on that?
Well, I'm not the right person to answer that, but I believe we are in the era where we are learning how to do the whole education giving in the online virtual ways. But some students have also mentioned that they feel that the education is not the same as it was during the contact courses as in the online courses. But I believe that we are in a process where we are still learning, and I hope and believe that we are getting only better at it.
Fantastic. Sasha, do you want to comment?
Sure. I agree with that completely. I think we're definitely learning a lot along the way. I do think the hybrid versions are at least better than completely online, because there's some interaction with the professor, but I'm sure it's very difficult for the professors to do that, kind of switching back and forth. And I just wanted to mention one example that we are doing actually that I think could be a way of the future is a sort of cultural engagement lab, where we have one of our professors, he created a Prague Peace Trail where he highlights different places where people lived who resisted something peacefully without violence, and he recorded a whole session of part of the walk, and then he's going to follow up with a live Q&A session. So I think that kind of mix of things could be beneficial to some students.
Absolutely. I'm personally really glad that this COVID-19 didn't happen 20 years ago, because I don't know what I would do without Netflix and how I would study, to be honest. So I'm happy that there are actually ways to communicate, ways to study online, and it's great to live in the future. Now, I saw in your slides that you did a survey in Charles University amongst the students, and also, Rein, you did also a survey. Was the survey on foreign students or in general?
No, I did a focus group interview with only international students, and we also sent out letters during spring to our international students to ask how they are doing.
Okay, but in Tallinn University, has there been done any like a larger survey among students with the communication? Like, how was the communication scene?
Yeah, at the moment we haven't done that, but that's a great idea that we should consider. Yeah.
Okay, what do you think about like the survey results, Martina?
Actually, our survey was only with our American students and our teachers, and it went quite well, because the feedback was like full of quality information, like that we could improve our summer online program, and the highlights I already mentioned in my presentation, but mostly students were satisfied, as our colleague said that the support, they appreciated so much the support. So I think that that's the key success, like just to support them and to help them answer their questions.
Sasha, do you want to add anything?
Only that we take the feedback from evaluations quite seriously. We actually do it at the end of every semester and the middle of every semester, so we can improve things as we go along. But this one obviously was quite important because it was specific to online and the transition during the COVID period. So it was definitely full of useful information that we were able to incorporate into our program.
Okay. Since we have two different universities here represented, I was thinking that when the crisis started, and you were just putting together your communication plan, did you reach out to other universities? Did you ask their opinion on what they're doing, or did you keep in touch with other universities and asking their maybe like ideas or like taking notes or something like that?
Honestly, no, because it was so fast and so unpredictable that we didn't have a time to ask somebody else from other universities. Also, because our program is quite unique in Czech Republic, because there is no other public university, even a private university, who is leading the program as we are doing it at Charles University. So everything was up to us. We only discussed our ideas with our IT department and with our main boss. But as I said, they trusted us because as a team we are working together already for 2 years, and our cooperation is quite satisfying, I have to say. Sorry for that, but we had that feedback. So they let us do things as we were thinking that they are the best. So yeah.
Yeah, don't be sorry for doing the right thing. And what about Tallinn University?
Well, yes, I have to agree that during the first weeks, we did not have any time to think about such things. To maybe we should call others and ask how they are doing. But all in all, I would say that we have a pretty good cooperation with other Estonian universities if we should have any issues about the communications. So I just yesterday or a day before that, I don't remember, I just called internal communication specialist from Tallinn University of Technology, and we do share our best practices and concerns, and yeah, it's a great cooperation. Yeah.
Fantastic. Now, you both have learned a lot, both universities have learned a lot, especially how do you do the crisis communication. And since we have some, let's say, government officials here or watching us, or who also do like communication, but for the country, like what can governments learn from this, your experience, like university's experience? And I would like to start with Sasha.
Sure. I think we have a good example of that here in the Czech Republic because it's the same as with us. Everything was fast, everything was changing. They were trying to communicate, as best they could. But for Czech Republic, there was for a long time no central website where to find all the information, which is, I think, key, something that we learned, to have everything in one place. Maybe it's one newsletter or one page on your website where students can go. And I think now, just in the past few weeks, they've launched a website where people can go and find every piece of information they need, whether it's getting tested for COVID or what stores are open, what are the curfew restrictions. So I think that is something that is very important for all bodies who are communicating with the public. Need to have everything in one central place and have it outlined clearly.
I couldn't agree more. Martina, do you want to add something?
No, it was everything that I wanted to say, so I agree completely with Sasha.
Absolutely.
Now it's getting better.
Okay. Rein?
Well, I can't talk on behalf of the whole university, but it seems to me that during the crisis, the political climate in Estonia hasn't also been very friendly towards our international students. So our international students were in Estonia, and it was difficult times for them, and when they were looking at the Estonian media, then it definitely did not make it feel more comfortable staying here. So I believe that maybe the officials should think about that.
Okay, so that's your takeaway, like they should think more what they are saying and how Estonia is perceived, let's say, in media for foreign students.
And how that affected our students.
Yeah, because it can have a long term.
Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely. And yeah, so let's say in 5 years we're going to have totally new crisis. Are you prepared, and what would you do differently if, again, the entire country is shut down for whatever reason? And what would you do differently while communicating to the students? And let's start with Martina this time.
We would definitely improve our website because, as I said, we were slightly struggling at the beginning with our website because as suddenly 150 students were, of course, with teachers, were connecting, downloading things, searching things, working with the website. That's one of the weakest points of our organization. So definitely improve our website, much more connected the website with recorded versions of our Zoom classes, and with all the information would be there. And we would try to maybe improve also our scheduling because during the spring normally our classes have 90 minutes and we make them shorter. It means they were lasting only 60 minutes. But thanks to the feedback from summer online courses, we could even leave our 90 minutes of courses because students were like, oh my God, it was interesting even during online, and we would be able to stay connected and attentive during 90 minutes. So maybe these two things from my point of view, we would improve definitely. And maybe Sasha has another feedback.
I think that's exactly right. Definitely, as I mentioned, the website is key because that's where everyone knows they can go for the latest information, and maybe just streamline the communication a bit more, as it's hard to be sending 5 different emails with different information, whereas if you had an online portal website, the students, the professors, the partners, even their parents home in the US could go to the one place to look for the latest information and what's happening with the program.
Rein, what would you do differently?
I would say that instead of only sending out very long emails and letters, I would definitely use more audiovisual ways to share information, to have virtual info sessions with simultaneous translation into English, of course, so that we could have a dialogue with our students and with our employees so that they could ask and have their questions responded in live. So yeah, I think using more live videos and such ways to communicate.
Mm-hmm. Also on your slides, Rein, you had that we should support the teachers as well. Do you want to elaborate that more?
Yeah, well, during the spring when the crisis happened, we all stayed home, and the teachers also had to conduct all their studies in home by themselves. Well, we have e-study center at Tallinn University where we have employees who give technical support to our teachers, but it seems to me that there should be more such employees who give support to our teachers so that they wouldn't be alone during the crisis.
So even emotional support? Or
yeah.
Just, oh, okay.
Absolutely.
And Sasha, what do you think about this idea, supporting maybe the teachers or professors more and helping them, just not maybe only IT-wise, but overall?
I think that's incredibly important, as we've realized through this whole pandemic that mental health is a huge part of it. And it was a lot of stress for the professors as well. We were maybe focusing a bit more on the students because they were pulled out of the program, going back to the US, but the teachers had to completely adapt everything, their modes of teaching, their schedules, where they were. And we did try, because we have a small team and a smaller group of professors we work with, we did try to support them, offer them if they wanted to come into our offices still and have a space for themselves where they could do their classes and feel that one of us was there nearby in case they needed something. We did try that, but I think it could always be improved, and it's a very important aspect.
Yeah, that's amazing that you were there to support them. I hope you had somebody to support you as well.
Yeah.
Rein, you mentioned on your slides that time is so important. When it comes to crisis communication, 2 days is an eternity. Now, let's say, again, we're going to have a new crisis and you need to just be really quick on your feet. What would you do differently, and what is the time to actually react and give out some news or some information?
Well, I would start with thinking about how to process the whole information that I once received. During the spring, I did not think about the result, but if I have the result in Estonia, then I definitely have to have it in English also. That was the last piece of the process for me then, but now I should think, the first thing to think is how to translate the whole information into English, even if it appears to me after the working day.
And what is like the most important like information if I think about like you need to react, what is the most important message or something that you need to get out as quick as possible? What is the priority?
Well, I think the students should know if the university is open or not, and all the administrative side of the crisis. But also where to get help, who are the contacts, if they have such questions, who they should contact, and to know who they can call or who they can write, and have a quick response if they need it.
Martina, do you want to comment this?
Yes, actually with us it worked very well that our first message was that students started panicking because in US, US president was saying, okay, every American citizen just come back to US, it will be safer for you. And they started to panicking that, okay, we won't catch our flight. We don't know if we can stay at the dorms and what to do or where we get the food, you know, all the panic which was at the beginning. So the good thing that we did was that we came in person to their dorms. We were talking with them calmly. We were explaining. They could see us in person. It wasn't only, at the beginning, it wasn't only through emails or telephones. But of course, as I said, 2 of us then was at home and managing all other emails with our partners, universities, online, also do some calls. But the thing that they could see us at least before they left the country, I think it was functioning really well. And also the message that don't panic. It doesn't need to be as fast as media are saying or as everything seems. We will just help you find the flight, we will inform your university, and we have still the time. You doesn't need to leave in 2 hours from Czech Republic. So that was our experience.
Sasha, do you want to add anything?
I think, yeah, that summed it up pretty well, actually.
Yeah, for me, it's just like when I think about communication, it's how to reach your target audience. There's so much information everywhere. What to believe, who to trust, and it can be really confusing. And I think sometimes the panic comes from this confusion that I don't know if it's if this is open or this is allowed or what I can do. So how do you stand out in the noise of all this information? And maybe Sasha, you want to talk about this?
Sure, and I think that goes back to maybe having a sort of a personal relationship with your audience and knowing who you're speaking to. I think that we definitely, in the short time in the spring we had our students, we did establish ourselves as a trusted resource. They kind of looked to us for guidance. Of course, like you said, there was media, there was their parents telling them things, there was government, but they really looked to us and I think took the information that we were giving them as a trusted source. So I think that's an important way to stand out.
So trust between the students and the university is important, as I understand. Okay. Rein, do you want to comment? How do you reach your target audience?
Yeah, I definitely agree that when international students come to Estonia to study in Tallinn University, for example, the first thing is to build trust between the university and the students. And as I mentioned in my presentations, we have study counselors and program coordinators who regularly keep in touch with our international students even during the crisis and doing it via virtual ways. So yeah.
So it's like a personal connection between the students and...
Exactly.
Yeah, I think that's very important. And as you mentioned, a lot of students who are struggling financially. Do you want to elaborate a little bit on that as well?
Well, yeah. As I mentioned, students feel that our government's attitude is not very friendly towards our international students, and they think that because of that, our companies also don't feel like safe to hire our international students. And that's a major concern for them.
Absolutely. And do you think like universities should offer the support and say that you are welcome here and we will help you and we will be there and support you?
Yeah, well, that's the struggle. If that's the attitude from the government, how our universities people say that, yeah, you're welcome here, even though if you look at the media, then it seems that, are they really?
Yeah. Sasha, did your foreign students also suffer from feeling like they are left out or they are like financially struggling, or did they have these kind of worries as Rain just pointed out?
Actually, most of ours didn't because they don't actually work. They can't work really when they come study through our program. So most of them, we have to make sure it's part of their application process that they already have the financial resources from their home to be able to study for the semester. And also because, like we said, they did leave so quickly within just a few days, I don't think they had much of a chance to feel left out, which is probably a good thing.
Okay, so you had totally different experience, which is interesting. Since we only have a couple of minutes left, I want to go over your last ideas, your most important message, or what is we should take from your presentation. And I would like to start with Martina.
So the most important message is that whenever another crisis is coming back, just stay calm, check what you can do, what is the most important thing by which you should start. And as I said, if you can inform in person your students that you are here for them, or call them, because every time the personal approach is the most important thing in this kind of crisis. If not, everybody is able to send emails, everybody is able to send you the link for the website, but to show to your students that you are also a human, not just the institution. This is the most important.
Sasha, your last thoughts.
Sure. Knowing your audience, where they're coming from, their own experiences, and keeping that in mind as you tailor different communications so that you're just speaking directly to the diverse groups within your audience, and just keeping in mind that people have different experiences and that's going to affect the way that they interpret what you're communicating.
I couldn't agree more. And Rain, your final thoughts and most important messages.
I really like the idea that building trust between students and university is the first and most essential thing that the university should do if they are having international students. And I would also, again, like to say that our study counselors and program coordinators who worked tirelessly and kept in touch with our students and asked how they are doing, and yeah.
So you all did a great job and you can be proud of yourself, and I honestly thank you for this interesting talk and these presentations. I learned a lot. I can take so much from your experiences, and I think that it's really great to hear another university story and just to exchange those experiences. And I thank you for joining us virtually, and Rein, thank you for joining us on site. And my name is Sille-Kadri, and we continue with our program. Thank you.
Thank you so much.